On Britain's streets, a battle is raging. Over 11 million of us rent.
I'm freaking out, I'm terrified.
But thousands fall victim to rogue landlords.
It's just the worst property I've seen.
2 million of us are private landlords.
He's owed almost £10,000 in rent.
But many face financial ruin at the hands of bad tenants.
Supposed to be out by yesterday.
Well, we're still here.
Get your hands up.
Don't push.
I had a nervous breakdown for the first time ever in my life.
I'm not going back on the street, no way.
In this series, we're on the front line with the enforcement officers who crack down on rogue landlords.
There's a lot of scams going on.
This is gross exploitation. It just can't continue.
And the experts, whose job it is to evict bad tenants.
This kind of stump boils my blood.
It can be a little bit scary at times.
Hey! We're called the police! We're called the police! It's £11,000 you now owe.
In this episode,
I need my flat back.
a London landlord is driven to the edge.
I had a nervous breakdown for the first time ever.
Hello?
A housing officer faces off against tenants in a slum property.
If you block the door, I can come back with a warrant.
Hi, Mr. Haley.
And Chris Sharp goes after a pub manager who won't back down.
Go away.
Oh, my client, £40,000.
"34-year-old IT consultant Stephen Moreno seriously regrets becoming a landlord.
This was my first venture into becoming a landlord, and very frankly, I don't really want to do it ever again.
His tenant, Oluwadere Temitope Faleye, known to Stephen as Temi, currently owes him over £10,500 in rent.
He was just silent. Never replied to my text messages, never replied to my emails whenever I sent them, and certainly never picked up the phone.
Stephen's trouble began 10 months ago when he informed Temi that he decided to sell the one-bedroom flat so he could buy a home with his girlfriend.
We sat down, I explained to him the situation, I explained to him that financially, if we were looking to buy a place, I had to sell it. I couldn't afford to have two places, it just wasn't feasible. He seemed to understand, kept on nodding, kept on agreeing to everything that I was asking of him.
But then the money stopped. Now, 10 months on, Stephen has had enough and is serving his tenant with an eviction notice.
It's just frustrating, honestly. It's frustrating and it's nerve-wracking because I never really get an answer from him as to why he's doing this, ever. So I'm not sure how today's going to go, and yeah, genuinely nervous.
Helping him is eviction specialist Paul Champlina from Landlord Action.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Paul.
We meet.
We do indeed.
How are you? I know you're extremely stressed.
Yeah,
Our
to say the least.
conversations. So look, let me just tell you what we're going to do. We're now starting the action. Once we serve the notice on him, he has to pay the rent arrears or vacate the property.
Okay.
Let's go and do this.
Cool.
The eviction notice gives Temi 14 days to move out. If he doesn't go, Stephen will have to start court proceedings, which could take another 3 to 4 months.
You look, see the curtains or anything move. It could be that he's gone to work. There's no sign of movement. Look, we're going to serve it. Okay. He knows it's been hand-delivered. There's no postal mark on it. It's been served. So, officially, we're starting the process. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Stephen can't sell his flat until his tenant moves out. With a large mortgage to pay and no rent coming in, he's been pushed to the edge.
My mind was racing left, right, and centre. It was all mentally too much. And it wasn't even over by that point. It was, it was only really just beginning.
"72-year-old retired engineer and grandfather Jim South is owed a staggering £40,000 in unpaid rent. 12 months ago, he bought the Coach and Horses pub to save it from going under. A good deed for the community has now turned into a personal nightmare.
My family can see that it's worrying me and my wife. It's caused a lot of upset. Your life's not your own, you've got all sorts of worries on. It is very worrying, and it's stressing, very, very stressing.
He made a verbal agreement with a local man called John Haley that his company could run the business. As long as he paid his rent, he could run the pub as he wished. It's an agreement he now bitterly regrets.
It was agreed that we'd give it a year and either party would say yes or say no at the end of that 12 months. We didn't get the full year's rent for the first year, and after 12 months, it just stopped coming and just refused to pay any more.
Jim has started eviction proceedings and is heading to Lincoln County Court for a hearing.
It's very daunting, really.
Meeting him outside the court is his lawyer, Marianne Steer.
Hi.
Maria.
How you doing?
All right, thank you.
How are you feeling about today?
Not looking forward to it.
No. Well, we'll give it our best shot and see how things go.
In order to evict the pub manager, they need to prove he is violating the terms of the agreement and is technically trespassing. John Haley arrives. It's clear he's prepared to fight the case.
You know the matter's been defended now, so it may be adjourned. We may have to provide some further evidence, but we'll do our best and see how we get on. Okay.
Less than half an hour later, the hearing's over.
We were successful. In 28 days' time, if he hasn't left the pub, then we need to think about enforcing the judgment that we've got.
The court has ordered John Haley to leave the pub in 28 days. Marianne's colleague, Chris Sharp, needs to hand-deliver the court order direct to him.
It's actually Sunday afternoon. Very rarely will I be serving a document, but Sunday afternoon is the best time to catch him working because he'll be attending to his Sunday afternoon carvery.
Lawyer Chris Sharp from the landlord group is serving an eviction notice to a man running the local pub in a Lincolnshire village. His company has gone bust, owing £40,000 in unpaid rent to the pub's owner. Chris knows there could be trouble.
Hi, Mr. Haley. I'm here from the landlord group to give you the possession order. Okay, thank you.
You are tossed.
The £40,000
Just
that...
go away now. Go away.
What's
now.
happening to the £40,000 that you owe Jim?
Excuse me.
Because you don't pay any rent.
The reason why? Because he did me for trespass. So he forgoed the rent, didn't he?
Well, what about before that, the £40,000?
I was paying rent here.
Well, the court didn't believe you.
I've got rent receipts. I have rent receipts to show you if you want. And because he wouldn't do any repairs here, if you come to that light there, we've got water leaking through it, which makes it dangerous in here. I have an underground leak that's leaking water,
Mr.
which costs me
Haley,
£1,000.
you have no personal right to be here. You owe my client £40,000. You don't pay any rent. You're a trespasser.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haley.
Bye-bye.
Chris is shown the door. But inside, It's clear that John Haley knows the game is up.
We'll be leaving over £40,000 worth of fixtures and fittings that we've put in the pub and we've paid our own money to. So it's not as though that we're going to actually go and he's going to be out of pocket, because he's going to have everything, all the tables, the chairs, all the catering equipment, stock, everything.
First, his business stopped paying the rent and went bust. Now John's future is in jeopardy.
I can't even get a job in a pub trade because of this court case being done for trespass. I can't even rent a house for myself because of this court case, because it comes up on the record and nobody wants to touch me. When I walk out here, I'm homeless. I've got 2 dogs going into a caravan and we're going to be pulling up on the side of the road.
He's got the order. He clearly wasn't expecting that. The fact is, he's got no right to be there. He's still trading there, not paying my client a penny. Where's the money? What's he doing with it? He knows he's got a few days left, but he's going to wring every penny he can out of this business.
Chris and his client, owner Jim South, have to hope Haley leaves the pub without a fight. Harrow Council's housing team have received reports of poor living conditions in a flat above an Indian restaurant. Micaiah Angus is on her way to investigate.
We've got a commercial restaurant on the ground floor and then residential on the first and second floor. I wonder if they've got a proper waste contract.
Hello?
Soon after Micaiah arrives,
Hello?
staff from the restaurant appear.
Wait. I don't need to wait.
The staff don't seem keen to let Micaiah in.
I got very concerned at this point when all these guys turn up because I'm not the biggest person and they were a lot bigger than me.
If you block the door, I can come back with a warrant and I can force entry. Under the Housing Act 2004...
No permission, sorry, boss.
I don't need permission. I'm from residential licensing in domestic environmental health. I am authorised under the Housing Act 2004 to enter properties that are operating as unlicensed houses in multiple occupation.
Micaiah suspects that the restaurant staff live here, even though the flat is not licensed as a house in multiple occupation.
No, we all work here. We are living here as well.
Exactly, you've admitted what I already know. It's all right, I'll come back with a warrant.
I had to ask the authorization of my boss.
I don't need your boss's permission.
So I can't get the authorization.
I don't need your... I know this sounds... I'm not trying to sound rude.
Yeah.
But under the provisions of the Housing Act, if a property is operating unlicensed...
Okay.
I have rights of entry. I have rights to enter. I'm going in to inspect.
Yeah, just hold on when I talk to my managers. Just we have to wait 3 minutes. You can't just give 3 minutes.
I'm not the boss. I'm staff.
Okay, as I said to your colleague here, I don't actually need your permission.
While the staff try and contact the owner of the restaurant, Micaiah ignores their demand she wait and begins her inspection. It doesn't take long to find problems.
The kitchen is a joke. Look at this. I can see the joists and the floor above, and there's a leak. The joists are water damaged.
The kitchen roof has collapsed and water from the bathroom above is coming through.
The kitchen ceiling is non-existent and the ceiling joists that are exposed, they're sodden, they're soaked.
You've got moisture going through the electrics.
But it's not just water getting into the wiring that worries Micaiah.
There's no fire door. There's no door. If a fire breaks out in the kitchen, you're dead.
I can see that there's no form of fire safety going on. It's like, damn, are you for real? And people are actually living here.
As we have a broom, let's see if this works. Yeah, that don't work. This is diamond.
Upstairs in the bathroom, Micaiah finds what looks like a cleaning rota.
And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names on this list So there's at least 5 people in here.
If there are 5 people living here, the landlord could be prosecuted for running an illegal HMO.
Sorry, I'm not impressed with this place.
Eventually, Makaya manages to speak to the landlord, and she doesn't mince her words.
I'm not impressed with the condition of them. 1, they're in multiple occupancy. 2, they're unlicensed. And 3, they're dangerous. No, listen. It's going to be a lot of work you have to do. And you're going to have a very little amount of time to do it. Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
It's 17 days since Stephen Moreno served his tenant Temi with an eviction notice. He's now owed £11,000 in unpaid rent. His battle to get Temi out has taken a serious toll.
Emotionally, I had a nervous breakdown for the first time ever in my life. It was just out of the blue. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't sleep whatsoever. I was just shaking as if I had a fever, essentially. I had cold sweats, and mentally I was just distraught. It was the only thing that I could think of. It was consuming my life, basically. I've got an £11,000 hole where my finances should be, and there's that noose around my neck.
This morning, Stephen's on his way to see if Temi's obeyed the eviction notice and moved out.
Who is it? It's Stephen. Stephen? Temi? And there he is. Can we speak?
What is it? You never told me you were coming. You got my number. Why are you knocking on me, though?
Landlord Action gave you a notice that you were supposed to have left in the last 2 weeks. You saw the letter. The letter was very clear. It had 2 weeks that you needed to vacate the property, Temi, again. Another 2 weeks have gone by. I'm just coming here to see if you're still here, basically. Okay.
I don't know what you're doing.
Temi, you never answer my calls. I do call. I do call. Temi, I do call and I send you text messages and you never reply.
The last time you spoke to me or called me was when you came here and I allowed you in. You were trying to steal mails. You actually stole mails, didn't you?
I'm sorry, I did what?
You said you stole my mail. The same letter you sent.
What?
You picked it up. Come on, man. You know what you did.
I did what? Okay. I stole his mail. The last couple of times that we've actually seen one another, this is essentially how we've interacted. Oh, okay, right. Well, while you're here, I do actually have something for you. If I could personally deliver it, if that's okay. I'm going to bring it and put it in through the letterbox. He's always disputed his tenancy deposit. I've got a certificate here. I kind of expected him to get dressed a little bit. I felt a little awkward. I've never dealt with a half-naked man at the front door. Temi, I know it's a sensitive issue, sir, but is there any chance you might pay rent? It's £11,000 you now owe. I need my flat back. I know he's in there. I know he heard me, but this is the usual response that I get, just complete silence.
It appears Temi has no plans to pay up or leave. Stephen has little choice but to take him to court, but this could take months. The problem for Stephen is he already has a buyer lined up for his house, but he won't proceed with Temi still there.
Landlords rely so much
on tenants to respond to legal notices that they think they're going to leave. They want them to leave in their mind, but the reality is most probably 50-60% of the time, tenants don't leave. That's really hard for them to take, knowing that they're going to be in for another 2-3 months.
I'm just stuck in life. Every plan that I had has been stopped. So, beyond heartbreaking. I don't think that's really the word. I'm not sure there is a word for this. It's just frustrating, really. There you go, there's one there. Head home now.
It's 2 weeks since Council Housing Enforcement Officer Micaiah Angus discovered the rundown flat above an Indian restaurant in Harrow.
I'm going to meet the landlord for the restaurant. The landlord has stated that as the place is used by his staff, it doesn't need to be licensed, and I've pointed out to him it does.
The flat is in a poor condition and potentially dangerous for the tenants.
Hello, is the owner around, please?
Sorry?
The owner. Hello, pleased to meet you.
That's all right.
Can we go up, please?
Yeah, okay.
The landlord, Nilesh Amlani, isn't clear why his property needs to be licensed with the council.
An application needs to be submitted with immediate effect.
With HMO?
Yeah.
But there's only 3 people staying here, that's why.
A house in multiple occupation can be you, this gentleman here and myself, all with our own rooms and sharing amenities.
Only there's 3 people.
A basic house in multiple occupation is 3 people who are not related, or a couple and an individual who are not related. There are 5 names on that rota that I've got the evidence for already.
That's fine, those people are not staying here, 2 of them are cleaners.
Whether there are 3 or 5 people living here, the flat still needs to be licensed and meet strict safety standards. The fact it is above a restaurant means it's all the more crucial it's made fireproof.
The kitchen is deemed a high-risk area, so there needs to be a fire door here. I need a fire risk assessment, the fire separation between the commercial and the residential.
Right.
Have you got the current gas and electricity records?
No, I can get it for you. You know, I spent 25,000 pounds when they moved in. You know, I spent so much money. Just
The floors need some attention as well because they're loose.
Great, I'll get that done.
If they have spent £20,000 in the past, that's the past. We're here. We're dealing with the here and now. This doesn't even meet national minimum standards.
You need to reinstate the banister here.
Okay.
These doors are not proper fire doors. You've got moisture ingress coming in from this side flank wall, so that needs attention because the smell's quite strong in here. You do need to check the pipework associated with your wash hand basin, bath and toilet because they are causing leaks to the first floor, which is part of there's leaks going down.
Nilesh soon realises that if he wants his staff to stay in the property and avoid a fine, he's going to have to cooperate.
You can give me a couple of weeks, everything will be done.
I will give you a couple of weeks, but
And,
you need to do everything.
Yeah.
Harrow's issuing fixed penalties. We are prosecuting. We've got a good landlord list and our bad landlord list. You want to be on our good landlord list.
I don't take anything wrong footed. That's not me. You know, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes, I pay my VAT and whatever.
Okay, thank
I
you,
will
sir.
start from Monday.
All right, cool. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. He seems receptive to what I want, and providing he does what I want, this is an easy slam dunk. But if he is just making it up to think that I will disappear, ouch, that will be painful.
Landlord Stephen Moreno is on his way to Stratford Magistrates Court in East London. He's had to wait 7 weeks for his case to be heard.
If it's adjourned, if it's delayed in any way, that's my biggest fear, that it gets just delayed. We'll see what happens. I don't even really want to think about it just yet.
He's currently out of pocket by over £13,000 in unpaid rent and legal fees. Stephen desperately needs his tenant, Temi, out of his home.
Financially, it'll be crippling, essentially. I mean, honestly, I'm eating cereal at work because they give us free cereal at work for breakfast and lunch, because that's kind of all I can afford.
There's even more pressure for Stephen. The person who wants to buy his flat will almost certainly pull out if he can't get Temi to leave soon. Just half an hour later, the hearing is over.
It's about as good as I could have expected, really. It was the first time I'd actually won and been told that I can legally possess my flat, that I can enforce the eviction of a tenant who was refusing to go. So it was a great feeling. It was elation.
The court order means that Temi must leave immediately. Stephen heads straight to the flat.
Best case scenario, there's clear evidence that he's just not there, and that I can actually walk in today. Plants in the windowsill. I'm going to try and knock on the door and look through the letterbox, and the usual tactic to see if anybody replies.
It's not clear whether Temi has left or not, so Stephen calls Paul Champlina for advice.
Hello.
Hi, Paul. It's Stephen Moreno again.
Oh, hi, Stephen.
Hiya.
How'd you get on?
We're here, and I was just curious as to whether I can. I've got the keys with me. Whether I can actually just try the door and see if I can go in.
It's tempting, Stephen, but what I wouldn't do, I wouldn't go in. And if you went in, he could start claiming that you've been harassing him or you're trying to unlawfully evict him. You need to get better confirmation.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much for your time, man.
No problem at all. Bye now. Bye.
It was a little bit of a deflation. It was, I think, the first inkling of realization that although I had been given possession forthwith, I still didn't realistically have any power. I didn't realistically have control of my flat.
If Stephen puts a foot wrong, it could have disastrous consequences. His only option is to remain patient and hope Temi obeys the court ruling, or he'll have to get the bailiffs in.
Back to the waiting game. Something I'm kind of used to now, but it's a lot more positive today.
It's over a month since a court ordered pub manager John Haley to leave the pub he runs in Lincolnshire. Lawyer Chris Sharp's now on his way there to find out whether he's gone or not.
The court order has now expired, so this guy's got no right to be there. And I'm hoping to be able to give the property back to Jim officially. If we get there and he hasn't left, we're going to have to err on the side of caution and unfortunately step back and get the bailiffs. But that might take another few more weeks.
The pub's owner, Jim South, is owed over £40,000 in rent and legal fees. But as John Haley's company was dissolved with no assets, there's no chance he'll get his money back.
Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Good to meet you again. If he's gone, you can go in and you can take it back. Hello? Anybody in?
Chris and John have to hope that there's not another confrontation with the pub manager.
Okay, Jim. Right. Hello? Anybody in? Hello?
It's soon clear that the pub manager has left and the property's empty. Jim's 19-month ordeal is over.
Well done.
Now he needs to try and recoup some of the money he's lost.
We'll go to the kitchen to see this 45 grand's worth of stuff he's left you, Jim.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So is this what has pretty much been left?
He said he wouldn't pay me because he'd spent £45,000 on the building. But when we asked him for what was done, when it was done, who did it, how much was it, and receipted invoices, he then said, well, it isn't actually that. It's equipment I brought into the building from other pubs.
Is that in another room then?
It probably is.
Because there's no 45 grand's worth here, mate.
No, I know.
Outside, the only thing Chris and Jim find is a fridge full of old dog food for the pets.
No. Why did I open that?
And some scrap metal.
This is probably the £45,000 worth of equipment.
Ah, is this where he's kept the 45
That's
grams
it.
worth of stuff, is it, Jim?
The best bit till last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, take it all back then.
Now that John Haley's gone, Chris's job here is done.
One last thing. There's the keys. Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Micaiah is heading back to the flat above the Indian restaurant, where the staff have been living in cramped and dangerous conditions. She's threatened to shut the place down unless the landlord carries out urgent safety work.
I always want to think the best of things, but yeah, this job kind of like makes you think the worst of everything.
Today, she's making a snap inspection, unannounced, to see if the landlord has done the work he promised.
A lot of time people will say, I've done this, I've done that, but when you look at it, they haven't done anything. Wow, it's getting more dirty.
Hello?
The landlord, Nilesh, isn't at the property, but it appears at least some building work is underway.
Have you found out where all the leaks are in the bathroom?
Well, you know the sink, it's a bit too close. When they're washing it, they throw all the water on the floor.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think that there's any
there
leak
are
in there.
leaks up there somewhere. They need to be found.
It's the risk of leaks coming through the ceiling that most concerns Micaiah.
Just make sure no water gets into the electrics, please. That's the last thing you want. Are you going to come with me or are you going to keep on painting?
No, it's fine. I'll come with you.
Okay. And some of the floorboards need attention. Again, are you going to be putting a handrail up here? Yeah. Cool. This cupboard needs to be fireproofed.
Yeah.
These electrical wires need to be trunked. What about this room? Looks as well.
Micaiah believes 5 workers were living in the 3-bedroom flat, which is still jam-packed with catering equipment.
If a fire breaks out, it's supposed to be clear and not congested. This is congestion.
No, this is all going in the skip. There's a lot of things that needs to do.
Yes, there is.
He told me, I mean, so...
Micaiah has seen enough. She gives the landlord's builder a final deadline.
I know you're working on it, but I will be back. All right, I'll come back in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. My hands are dirty, sorry.
That's all right.
The clock is ticking for the landlord. He has 14 days to sort the flat out or face a hefty fine. Paul Champlina is on his way to evict Stephen Moreno's tenant, Temi.
Steve's a really cool guy. He, unfortunately, had the nightmare of finding a really bad tenant who owes him over £15,000 in rent arrears now. I just hope there's no aggravation. I hope the tenant's left, but who knows?
Until his tenant leaves, Stephen and his girlfriend Trang's future together is on hold.
It has been horrible. We've been waiting for it to be over so we can move on, because other people are waiting down the line. We have buyers waiting and we have our properties waiting as well. And it affected us financially and also emotionally.
As Steve's at work, Trang's joining Paul for the eviction.
Nice to meet you,
How are you,
Paul.
okay?
I'm good, good.
So you know what's going to happen now? We're going
Yes.
to hopefully finally get the property back for Steve and for you. I think the bailiff has just turned up.
On the day of the eviction, I was hoping that Temmie the tenant wouldn't be there because it can kick off at any time, especially if Temper's afraid.
The bailiff doesn't waste any time and heads straight inside.
Hello. Hello.
Looks empty, doesn't it? Yeah, okay. He's left. He has left.
I feel so relieved. I mean, it's such an easy process today. I was thinking it much more complicated.
Oh my God.
What is that?
In one of the cupboards, Paul finds a pile of unopened letters.
Oh my God, look at this. Wow.
It appears Steve's legal letters aren't the only thing Temmie's been ignoring.
Yeah, all bills. Oh my God, look, these are all he's not even, the occupied. Look at all this post he hasn't even opened. Loads and loads and loads of post.
As it's clear that Temmie is gone, Paul's job here is finished.
Just wait, get your locksmith just to change the locks, just so everything's secure. Yeah, okay, well look, good
Thank
luck.
you very much for all of your help.
And that's right, good luck with the future.
I was delighted that we got the property back for Steve, and I just hope he could sell the property as quickly as he can, and him and Trang can get on with their life and try and buy their new property of their dreams.
That afternoon, Stephen arrives to inspect his property. It's the first time he's been allowed in for 11 months.
That was far too easy. Well, I've seen it in worse state. I spoke to a neighbour who was just outside, and they told me that apparently he was still around until yesterday. Apparently a van came over and moved the majority of his things out, and so he left it until the very last minute, the very last day.
Check the light.
Check the light. Oh, wow. Hulk. Arrgh. That's all I'm thinking. Angry.
Yeah.
The past week or so, I've not been able to sleep. Every scenario has been running through the back of my mind. I knew technically there was nothing really that could have gone wrong, but ultimately I can't believe that it's happened.
Stephen may have his flat back, but he's unlikely to see the £15,000 he's owed. Also, because of the long delays, the sale of the property has fallen through.
It's not looking good at the moment, to be honest. Found out news today that the buyer of this place, he no longer wants to wait and started looking elsewhere. It's disappointing, honestly disappointing.
All Stephen and Trang can do now is put the ordeal behind them and try to find another buyer for their property.
I guess onward from now. Onwards and upward. He's gone. That's something to smile about. I can't contain my excitement at the moment, honestly. Certainly not in the next 20, 30, 40, even 50 years will I ever be a landlord. I'm definitely not considering it ever again for the rest of my life. All right, after you, kid.
3 weeks have passed since Micaiah Angus's snap inspection of the flat above the Indian restaurant. This is the landlord's final chance. If he hasn't fixed the dangerous conditions, she can impose a fine of up to £30,000.
My current experiences, with landlord has been rather negative, and the last time I went there it was works in progress. Didn't look too appealing. Dangerous leaks that had been there for some time.
The landlord, Nilesh Amlani, has agreed to meet Mikheya today.
Let's go see where the owner is. Hello? Hello? Long time no see. We now have a ceiling in the kitchen. You're making progress. You're stopping the leaks at this moment in time, but because it's work in progress, I'm not going to berate you too badly. This door, it's not finished yet, but it's got a self-closer. I like it. Good work. I appreciate this, sir. There's still some leaks going on here.
Raj? No, there is no leakage from there. It's just the water might have spilled on the side.
If it dries up, fantastic, but if it starts again, please do something. You don't want your ceiling to come down again, yeah? No. And some of the windows need adjusting. Yeah.
I'll get that done.
Fantastic, I like you.
It looks like the landlord has heeded Mikheya's warnings.
I think it was neglected or ignored. So when Michaela did call me, I was quite shocked to see the state of the flat. And considering I'm quite pleased with the job that's been done with, it's still going on. She was an eye-opener for me, yeah.
Many of the landlords Mikheya and her colleagues deal with do everything they can to avoid their legal obligations. This time, however, the landlord has played ball.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We have to deal with really dire, crappy, rubbish conditions and situations. And so when a landlord actually engages and wants to work with you, it's amazing. Those situations make the job rewarding. So, you know what, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
She's here, she's here.
Next time,
You haven't paid me the last 3 months.
a landlord confronts his letting agent over missing rent.
You're not getting your property back. You're not getting nothing back.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Yeah.
A desperate mum and her young children are stuck in a dangerous rented flat.
I'm freaking out. I'm terrified.
And on a dawn raid,
How many living in here?
housing enforcement officers make a shocking discovery.
The pantry's being used as a bedroom. The entrance hall's being used as a bedroom. Absolutely dreadful.